If you've had your eye on the Scotland men's national team, you may have noticed a recent trend. Instead of playing the football for major teams in Scotland, or a multitude of clubs in the Premier League Championship, some of Scotland's biggest footballing names are donning the club colours of a different nation, and that nation is Italy. Although the numbers may be small as of now, there is certainly a noticeable presence of Scots lighting up Serie A. Some players have already become fan favourites despite only signing for their respective clubs at the start of the season. Today, we'll be answering a couple of questions. Why is this recent trend happening? What does it mean for the national team? And what potential impact could it have on Scotland's future? As of now, 4 of the top 10 most valuable Scottish players are contracted to Serie A clubs. This may not seem like many, but when you realise that Scotland's 2016-17 World Cup qualifying squad didn't feature a single player that played for a club outside of the UK, it puts everything into perspective. So, I guess the question is, when did this start? Scotland's 2021-22 World Cup qualifying squad featured 2 players that played outside of the UK, Club Brugge's Jack Hendry and Bologna's Aaron Hickey. Hendry now plays for Saudi Pro League club Al Ettifaq, and Hickey plays for Premier League side Brentford. And although at the time this may have seemed like the end of a short-lived generation of Scots heading abroad, in reality it hadn't even started yet. In 2022, midfielder Lewis Ferguson signed with Serie A side Bologna. The former Hamilton and Aberdeen man has since made 84 appearances for the Italian side, scored 14 goals, registered 6 assists, and even been named captain of the side. However, there's more to it than just his club stats. Ferguson was 22 when he signed for Bologna, and only had 2 Scotland caps to his name. Since signing for Bologna, he made an additional 11 appearances for the national team. Although part of this can definitely be attributed to the fact he was naturally developing as a player, there's no denying the fact that he became a more regular name on Steve Clarke's team sheet ever since moving abroad. For the 10 games that Ferguson was called up to prior for signing for Bologna, he was benched for 7 of them. Since making the move, he has been called up for 14 and benched for just 5, which means that he was playing 65% of the games he was called up for, compared to the previous percentage of 30. Once looking at it this way, you realize that Ferguson was deemed good enough to make the squad before signing with Bologna, but playing consistent football in a new environment led him to getting a significant amount more minutes in a Scotland shirt. Now, you're probably thinking, what does the fact that Ferguson went abroad have to do with anything? Surely, signing with any big club in Scotland or England would have had the same impact. And perhaps you'd be right. Maybe Ferguson's international career would have had the same trajectory had he gone to a big Scottish team or a top 10 Premier League side instead of Bologna. However, there are multiple examples of Scottish players thriving in a foreign environment after struggling in the UK. Our first example is currently the most valuable Scottish player, and that's Napoli midfielder Scott McTominay. Born in Lancaster, McTominay is a product of Manchester United's youth academy, and he made 255 appearances for the senior team over a 7-year span. However, there seemed to be a strange phenomenon during Scott McTominay's final years at United. Many fans joked that he only played well for Scotland, and Steve Clarke knew how to get the best out of him far better than United manager at the time, Eric Ten Hag. And although McTominay's numbers at United weren't bad by any means, you could see where this was coming from. McTominay was underappreciated at United. Many fans believed that he was a liability and didn't think he was the right choice for the club to move forward. This wasn't the case with Scotland fans. McTominay created some unforgettable moments for the Tartan Army during Scotland's Euro 2024 qualifying campaign. It was beloved by the Scotland faithful. One thing was very clear: McTominay thrived in surroundings that welcomed him. So, when he joined Serie A side Napoli for a fee of €32 million in the summer of 2024, there was good reason to believe that big things were on the cards. One thing that's important to remember is that McTominay was in no way taking the easy way out. Napoli claimed the first Serie A title in over 3 decades after their historic season in 2023, but were subjected to a stunning 10th place finish the following season. Napoli had some work to do, and McTominay wanted to be there for it. Since signing with Napoli, McTominay's made 28 appearances, scoring 7 goals and assisting 4. However, there's something that meant more than numbers. Scott McTominay is adored by the Naples faithful. His best performances are no longer reserved for a Scotland shirt, and he's lighting up the pitch for club as well as country. And the reasoning behind this isn't too complicated. There's a few actually. One is quite simple. Manchester United is perhaps the most toxic football club in the world right now, and it can be incredibly hard to do well there as a player. But I think McTominay's case has to do with something else. For some reason, Scottish and English players have traditionally rarely ventured outside of the UK to play their football. There's no shortage of Spanish, Italian, German, or French players playing abroad, and even with the smaller European countries, it's the same. So why is seeing a Brit playing outside the UK such a rare occurrence? I'm not entirely sure what the root cause of this is, but it also doesn't really matter. What does matter is the impact it has on their respective national teams. Different nations have different ways of playing football. Spanish football is more possession-based. German football is more pressing-based. There's simply different ways of playing the game. This means that when you have players going abroad, they're exposed to different styles of play. And oftentimes, they're exposed to styles of play that better suit them. On top of that, when you have players in national team camp that are used to playing various different kinds of football, it allows for more flexibility in the team's tactics, as well as creating a more well-rounded squad. Just 9 of the 23 members of France's 2018 World Cup winning squad played the football domestically. That might not be a very good example because France don't have the strongest domestic league. Let's look at Spain's Euro 2024 winning squad. Yes, only 7 of the players play their football outside of Spain. However, 2 of those players are Rodri and Dani Olmo, who ended up becoming 2 of the most crucial players for Spain's eventual title-winning campaign. This is proof that there doesn't need to be a mass migration of players leaving their domestic leagues in order for a nation to succeed. All I need is a few players with experience playing abroad to freshen the squad a bit and potentially build the team around. And as much as I love the Scottish League, it probably isn't very wise to compare it to La Liga, but perhaps this could be applied to Scottish players choosing to play in Europe rather than the Premier League, as although the Premier League is exceptional in quality, it has a rather similar style of play to Scotland. It's no coincidence that England are having some of the best results they've had in decades, and also have the most players they've ever had playing abroad, with 2 of them being the most integral pieces of the team. As great as McTominay's comeback story is, he's not even the only Scotsman in Napoli to have the same narrative. Midfielder Billy Gilmour left Chelsea for Brighton in 2022, after a loan spell at Norwich the season before. Gilmour joined Napoli at the start of the season with countryman McTominay, and the duo have since become a fan favourite. In fact, they even have a pizza named after them by an Italian-Scottish chef in Glasgow. Although Gilmour was putting up decent numbers at Brighton, the 23-year-old has taken on the challenge of playing for one of Europe's top clubs and has featured in every possible Scotland game since signing with the Neapolitan side. McTominay and Gilmour are definitely becoming an iconic duo, however, they're only just the surface. Che Adams left Southampton on a free transfer to join Serie A side Torino at the start of this season, who just 13 goal volumes to his name and is back to consistent involvement in the Scotland squad. 22-year-old Josh Doig joined Serie B side Sassuolo in January 2024 and has become the side's preferred left-back option during their pressure of promotion this season, as the side currently sit 9 points clear at the top of the Italian second division. Midfielder Liam Henderson signed with Serie A side Empoli in 2021, where he has since made 116 appearances. And although there's certainly a theme of Scottish players preferring to take their talents to Italy, it isn't the only league seeing an influx of Scottish talent in recent years. Scottish duo Scott McKenna and Ollie McBurney have linked up with La Liga side Las Palmas, where they've both become regular names on the team sheet. Ryan Gall has been lighting up Major League Soccer with Vancouver Whitecaps and earned his first international call-up last year. Lewis Morgan has also been making a name for himself in America, as a New York Red Bulls midfielder returned to the Scotland squad for the first time in 5 years back in 2024. There seems to be an impressive amount of talent present in the Scotland men's national team at the minute, and members of the Tartan Army can feel as if they have a whole lot to look forward to in years to come. The recent trend of Scottish players signing for clubs outside of the UK can only make this potential golden generation even better. Scotland have certainly had talented teams in the past, but there's always something that seems to be missing. Could players finding new environments and being exposed to new styles of play abroad that better suit them be the answer for Scotland? Be sure to let me know in the comments below.